Hey folks, Charles75N here, and we're coming down to the end on Unbelievable Sister Telly. You can see that the clear is looking really good, and so what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to go ahead and wet sand it and buff it out. So let me get a few things set up and we'll get right to it. All right, so here we are again. We're here with Unbelievable's Telecaster, and we are now ready to go ahead and wet sand it. We have our micro mesh kit all set up. We're starting with the 3200 grit, and then we'll go all the way down to 12,000, and we'll just go ahead and lightly go over it. And we're just trying to knock off any of the orange peel, not trying to put any scratching into it and work out anything. I know there's a couple things up here, some couple little pit holes over here that we need to go ahead and work out, but we're going to go ahead and let the grits do their work. And if we lean on it too much, then that is going to be what would put the scratches into it that we'd have to buff out later. And so again, we'll start with the 3200. We'll go all the way down to the 12,000, and then we'll come back and buff it out. And it really is this simple. Typically, it takes me a lot longer to go ahead and wet sand these, but I've done a lot of the preliminary wet sanding already and gotten that out of the way. We put some extra coats of clear on it so that it would have a thicker finish. So this one's got about 3 more coats of clear on it than what I typically do, because I really wanted to go ahead and shine for Unbelievable. All right, so we're going to just kind of keep going here and give a chance for the grit to kind of do its thing. There's some orange peel right about here that needs some attention. And so we're going to kind of concentrate on that a little bit, because we know a lot of the other parts of the finish are really smooth. And so that's going to get just a little extra attention. Again, I'm not putting any weight on this. I'm just holding it there to it. In our solution over here, we have water and a little dish soap to help it glide a little bit and keep it loose. It also helps to pick up some of whatever of the clear that comes off. And so this is going to be the area that needs the most attention right there. The rest of the top is really in good shape. All right, so we've done our 3200 grit. We'll go on to our next grit now. And you'll see I really love this micro mesh kit. It works really well, especially when you take your time and you don't push it. And again, we've got a little bit of our water solution on here, and that'll help us from pushing too hard and doing some things. And really, it's just a couple passes for this finish wet sanding. Typically, I spend a lot more time wet sanding, so this is, like I said, this has already got some preliminary wet sanding out of the way before we did this. And because of the wet sanding we did on the last 3 coats, before the last 3 coats, it was really, really smooth going into that. So it doesn't need as much attention as what I sometimes do. Okay. And after each disc, I'll go ahead and I'll wipe it off, make sure I don't have any grit from the micro mesh on the surface, and then be digging it in with the next grit. So, like I said, I really do love this micro mesh kit. Makes everything go a lot better. And so I want to appreciate everyone for the views on the wet sanding of the headstock video and putting in the tuners and buffing that out. Really appreciate you watching that, and appreciate all the comments on it. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. All right, so we've now moved on to our next grit. And honestly, I couldn't tell you which grid it was at this point because I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm just trying to kind of get through this a little bit quicker for you so that the video is a little more interesting. And I'm going to be really sad to see this one go. I really am. I think this one is coming out better than the one that I did for myself. And so it's going to be hard to see this one go, especially once I'm able to see them side by side and play them back to back. I think I really am going to miss that this one so much when it goes out the door. But I know it's going to a good home. I know that Unbelievable is going to take really good care of it, and he's going to appreciate it. So he, really gave me my start in getting a lot of these fabric top stuff done, along with Ben Kuhn. So, who better to do one for, right? All right, so we've moved on to our next grid again. And again, I'm paying extra special attention up there. And I noticed when I was doing the last grid that down here needs some attention as well. So, and it's interesting, and you can see that on the video here, you can still see all the shine. And so where you can tell you, it tells you we're not pressing really hard and we're using really fine grits. And so we're really just taking off that orange peel. And so when we go to buff, it's going to be really, really nice. It'll be a really easy job of buffing after using this kit. So we're just down to 2 more grits, this one and one more. Oh, almost forgot to wipe it off. Get talking and just don't pay attention to what you're doing. Not good at practice, right? So let's go ahead and pull that horse up a little bit short and go ahead and get going. All right, I think I need a little more water there. Okay, so this is our second to last grit, so I'm going to go ahead and probably give this one a little more attention on this because I'm seeing a little bit over here that I want to make sure we get taken care of. And I know you can't see it on the camera. It is something you really have to be extra close up on. Normally, when I do it, I use this light and it allows me to see better. But of course, that doesn't create a good visual for you on the camera because it just glares off. So, in between takes, I'll often go ahead and take a look at that and look at the areas that need some extra attention. But when you're doing these finishes like that, good tip to have. A good bright light that you can put on it, and it'll catch all the glare, and it'll show you where the areas of where you might have some more orange peel on it that don't typically just show up if you don't have proper lighting. Okay, and here we are on our last grit. Make sure that we got our pad centered here. We don't want any of the Velcro getting onto our finish here and scratching it up. So make sure you center your disc really well. Okay. And so I hope you've been enjoying the series, and I'm now getting back in the swing of things. Up next is going to be our Warlock with our 80s style fabric on it, and that's going to be a lot of fun to do. It's going to be some challenges in some places. I'm not sure how I'm going to lay the fabric in some areas. And then I just got commissioned to do a piece, do a strat. And with that strat, we're going to go with a skeleton biker motif. The guy getting the guitar is a Harley rider, and that's kind of his thing. And so it should be something else. I'm already thinking I might need to do one like it for me. So I'm loving that fabric. So All right, so you can see here where wipe it off a little bit. And so I can see some, you still need some attention there. I can still see some orange peel. I may end up having to go back through after I buff it out and apply some more attention there with one of the larger grips and go back through and finish the process again. But better to do it twice than to take too much off the first time. So. Okay, I think that'll do it. Let's go ahead and wipe it off. And we'll zoom in. You can cut, and maybe you can see some of the differences in it. Realize there'd be a little bit of wet on it. But let's zoom in and see what's going on. And we'll angle down. Let the focus catch up with us. And so you can see how it looks. All right, folks, so we've got our wet sanding done. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start buffing it. Put quite a bit of buffing compound on here. Put a dot here, here. Basically just trying to spread this stuff around quite a bit so it's not all in the same place. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm buffing this by hand because it's just better for the video. But I will be using a powered buffer to get the ultimate shine out of it as well. But the concept here is basically the same. And it gives me an opportunity to go ahead and give you that first preview of all buffed out. How nice is this going to go ahead and look? And so, you know, it makes it kind of interesting that way. And of course, you know, after wet sanding it, we've dulled down the finisher quite a bit. And so it's going to take quite a bit of buffing. It's not like just a quick thing, oh, I buff it once and then it's done. No, I usually have to buff it, you know, about 5 or 6 times to get it to where I really want it and get rid of all the fine scratches and things like that, or at least much of them as possible. And so it's like everything else. The more time you put into it, the better quality it gets. And the less you rush yourself, the better quality it gets. And so, you know, it's, you know, anything that's done quick isn't going to be as good. And that's why, you know, you'll hear Phil McKnight talking about fast guitars and slow guitars, right? Because, how, you know, it's really about how much time and effort is spent on them in the factory, because time costs money. And, you know, you get, you know, it's how much, you know, you could have a great guitar that it's inexpensive and it could play great and it could sound great and everything else. But then you're doing little things to tweak it to make it better for yourself. And, you know, for us guys that like to tinker, this is a great way to go ahead and do things like that. But you know, coming down to this finish, I want to be proud of this. I want the person that's getting it to be really proud of it. And I want to be able to point back and say, look, you know, I did that. I put that effort into it. And I don't want to be thinking in the back of my mind, I could have made that finish a little bit nicer. And truth be told, I feel that anyway. So, but I take extra time and I'll buff it more, probably more times than maybe someone else might. But, you know, I'm doing handwork in my home and, you know, I'm not a factory. I don't have all the fancy equipment. And so I'm doing this with a hand buffer, and I'm doing it with a drill buffer. Now, I did get an automatic a machine buffer, but And be perfectly honest with you, I'm still kind of learning the intricacies of that, and don't want to put someone else's guitar on it if I'm doing when it, I'm going to learn how to do that using my own guitars rather than someone else's. But you can already see here. This is just one buffing, and I'm not even done with the buffing coat, and so you can see how clear and how clean that is going to be. And I really attribute that to standing with the micro mesh, because that going all the way up to that 12,000 grit, it gets things really nice and polished, and it's already was almost back to a really good shine when I finished with the micro mesh before I put in the rubbing compound. But just in the time I'm sitting here with you and doing this, and we're having this conversation, the quality of the shine is incredible. So I can only imagine what's going to be like after I go ahead and I put on the drill buffer and put on the buffing wheel, and see how much nicer it even comes out. So I'm really, really, truly excited about this, and I'm hoping that you are too. I want to thank you for watching the video. I want to thank you for spending time with me. And as always, enjoy your guitar journey, and thank you for being part of mine. Please check out one of the other videos. Check out the links below. And if you want a Charles 75-inch shirt, those are there as well. So again, enjoy your guitar journey, and thank you for being